have another episode of Survival Guide to Life, and we're going to start with a brief introduction with our special guest.
Well, thanks, Omar. I appreciate being here today, and I'm basically a self-love enthusiast and an author and speaker. And in the early 2000s, after doing some major healing work on myself, discovered a golf ball-sized lump in one of my breasts, and went through a bunch of alternative healing because I don't really do the allopathic medicine route, and started drawing images to heal it. And in about 3 weeks after I started drawing these images, because someone told me to, because I didn't think I could draw at all, I suddenly was guided to use one of them to remove the lump. And in one brief 20-minute session, the lump was gone after a full year of doing all kinds of alternative health to remove it. And following that incident, I started drawing more of these images and doing different healings on myself, until finally one day I said, "Send me guinea pigs. I'm tired of being the guinea pig." So that's how I got on this journey, and it was nothing I would have expected. I was a computer geek in the computer industry and never ever anticipated going down this route at all.
Wow. So I have so many different questions to just ask from the get-go, but just right off the bat, was something like with this drawing, is this a technique that's been done before, or was it just something recommended to you and you just start trying?
Well, I had not done it before. In fact, what happened was I was seeking out all kinds of different alternative health experts, and I went to a medical intuitive, and I'd been to her several times, and she'd given me ideas of what to do to heal this lump. And one day she said to me, "You need to draw those images floating in your aura." And I rolled my eyes and said, "Yeah, right, whatever, have a good day," right? So yeah, it wasn't anything I was aware of, but apparently I've learned since then that many people in some of the more ancient traditions had things that are called yantras, which were used specifically for healing, that were images that they've been drawing for centuries. So these are different than those particular things, but if you understand that everything is energy, we are affected by everything that is energy. So whether it's music or whether it's drawings or whatever, we are affected by the energy. And that's really what this is. This is just another modality of shifting the body's energy.
Okay, so did you,
So these are some of the symbols on this little thing behind me. If you
okay. So did you know, is there like certain images or certain symbols that you could say correlate to certain remedies or certain,
Yes.
yes?
So as an example, this big one in back here actually helps open and balance all the chakras or the energy centers within the body. So it gets the flow of energy happening when we have a blockage in our energy field. But when I went to remove the lump from my breast, as an example, I was given an image that looked like a jellyfish. And I was guided to use this thing visually, to hold it in my hand, but then visualize the tentacles of the jellyfish going around the lump and pulling it out of my breast.
Wow.
And it worked.
So like someone, um, since we're talking to each other, it's a lot easier to understand each other because I feel like we're in the same wavelength. But say from someone who's listening, from outside, they would be like, "Wait, what? What are you guys talking about?"
Yeah, well, I understand totally. I mean, I was a skeptic when this whole thing happened. Like I said, I rolled my eyes when she said to go draw the images floating in my aura. So I understand the skepticism, and that's why I have like free gifts and stuff for people to try them out and see what happens for them. and teach them how to use them to try different things. Like I teach what's called muscle checking, which tests the strength of a muscle to determine a yes or no answer, so they can actually see, is this going to help them or is it not going to help them, as an example. Or did my energy change or didn't it change, type of thing. So there are ways to do that. And but yeah, I understand totally about the skepticism and so on, because I certainly was the number one skeptic.
So my next question is, you said being in the tech field and just like that being your like main focus, and how doing like a 180 and getting into, you can say like spirituality, or just being like one with yourself. What was the transition like, and what was your like mindset like?
Well, first of all, I had actually walked away from the computer industry before I started drawing the symbols, but I had already decided I needed to do something majorly different in my life. So during the time I was in that computer industry, I, as a female in particular, found myself almost a slave to that job. So I was at one point, I billed for a contract company I was working for 110 billable hours for 1 week. Okay. And they gave me an award for doing so. So I went from that to saying I have to take care of myself. And what happened was I was working a contract deal, and all the local people were going home at 5 o'clock. And yet the management said, we're paying for you to be here, so we expect you to work until 10, 11 o'clock at night, every night. And I found myself sitting in my hotel room one night, and I was just shaking like this, and I couldn't stop shaking. And that was my breaking point when I said, I'm going to die if I keep doing this. And so I asked for guidance, and meditated on it, and was told, just walk away.
I was like, as you say this, I'm in my hotel room right now, like doing like in like exactly what you said, doing that right now.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I understand. I thought I won't be alive for another 5 years if I keep this up with this kind of stress, and I walked away.
I think it was probably the best decision, right?
Yeah, I mean, I at the time I had $1 million in the bank, and I thought I was really comfortable. I lost all that since then. I went totally broke and everything, and I have to tell you, it still was a good decision, and I wouldn't change it for a minute.
That's great. So I my next question was how you got into your writing and how you transitioned in as a early stage author.
Well, the writing is mostly related to the symbols. So I actually write how to use them and teach people like what is the underlying emotional connection with each of the ailments. So as an example, when someone has cancer, typically that means it's anger eating away within them somewhere that they're not addressing. And I know that sounds a little crazy, and I didn't believe it for years until I actually was working with a girl who had cancer, and she was like the happiest person on the planet. Okay. I thought she was just the happiest person. And about 3 weeks before she died, and I'd already known about the cancer eating away at you type of thing. About 3 weeks before she died, I was visiting her, and I say now it was like the exorcist. Like suddenly she was just spewing all this anger that she had buried inside of her and had never let out. So everybody thought she was this happy person because she never allowed herself to feel that anger. And suddenly there it was, she was just spewing it. And so, with any kind of ailment, I always have people look at what is the underlying piece. And that's a lot of what my materials are written about, is looking at what's the underlying piece related to the ailment. So, you're working on that, you're working on beliefs, as well as working with the symbols themselves.
So I think that's really awesome, and I think it's really inspiring because I, with everything that's going on now, I think this holistic or this type of approach towards any ailment is more one beneficial for mankind, and
Mhm.
two, it's like kind of like withheld from everyone because they kind of don't want everyone to know. So
Right,
that's why I'm glad that we're able to speak right now and like able to make it as rare as possible.
right, right.
So
Yeah, I mean, with COVID as an example, I don't recommend that anybody do anything crazy. Like, okay, I do wear a mask when I'm out, but not when I'm on the beach when there's no one around me.
yeah, thank you.
You
That's what
know,
I was saying. Like I never
do the
understood.
sensible things, but the important thing is mindset and building your immune system and knowing that you're going to stay healthy. And my attitude has been really simple. If I get COVID, it's because I was supposed to get it for some reason. It's
Thank you.
part of my
Thank
life
you.
journey.
Now that's exactly the type of mindset I had. I was like, if it was gonna happen, that was what was written for me, and that's what was meant. But that
Mhm.
doesn't mean I'm gonna go touch everything and like lick toes and things like that. No, I'm gonna I'm gonna like hand sanitize and like tie my camel, so to say. Right?
Right, right. And I wear my mask when I'm too close to people and things like that, or if I'm in a store. But otherwise, I go about my day. Like I said, I go walk on the beach every day, and I don't wear my mask except when I'm walking on and off the beach, where there might be more people close by.
So you said most of your writings are to deal with your drawings and to understand how the healings work.
Right.
Have there been any other writings or any other books you've done that were different?
I actually have one book. In fact, I was looking to actually update it and publish it the other day, and I can't find it. And it's called Stop the Abuse, Love Yourself. And it's really my story about how I was involved in a very abusive relationship in my early 20s and how important it was to recognize my role in what happened because I ended up in a situation where I got beat up and stabbed by the guy
Oh,
and I'd already broke off with him
yeah,
and I had a group of friends over.
yeah,
He drove by, saw I had cars at the house that he knew I would not allow a scene. So he knew I'd let him in because I had friends there, right?
yeah.
And he also played that role on my asking him to leave, like he threatened to make a scene. So I backed down. So he ended up in my house for the next 8 hours and, it was dramatic as heck. And then he finally beat me up and stabbed me. Um, and I saw my role in that whole thing, and that's what my story is about. The Stop the Abuse, Love Yourself is learning to recognize that I played a role by being concerned that I was going to let him make a scene. Who cares? A scene is better than getting beat up, right? But we tend to do that. We do this mind stuff, and we're all worried about what people will think. Well, so that's what that book is all about, is really letting people know to love yourself and recognize the mistakes we make and love ourselves for those mistakes, but mostly learn from them. Don't just blame someone else. Like for years I blamed him, and then one day I realized that I played a role in it. Yes, I had to forgive him, I had to forgive myself, but it was really important to recognize that I had a role in the whole thing and that I helped create that for my own growth in a lot of ways.
That's a really awesome slash unfaith unlike it, I'm sorry that had to happen, but the fact that it did happen and you were able to write about it, I already, as you were speaking, from my own sisters or cousins, or like I come from an immediate family that are mostly all women who have
Hmm.
been, sadly in like the similar state, and
Right.
just not knowing the proper mindset to have or how to continue from that attack or abuse, and like how to cope with it and understand it. So
Yeah, it's quite a journey because we're brought up to really blame and make that other person wrong. And I had to get to the point, literally, and people are appalled that I can do this. I can now actually go into a meditative state, visualize him, as though I'm face to face with him and telling him, I love you, thank you. And the reason I can do that is I couldn't help other women that have been in abusive situations if I didn't have that experience.
That's true. And
Yeah.
there's a saying in like in just like in Islam, because I kind of like grew up just was taught those ways, but like
Mhm.
it's God, you know, the ones He loves, He makes them go through the harder things, and like the ones He loves, He makes them like, you know, go through a lot.
I think God loves us all equally, and
No, you know what I mean. The ones that
I
He
do
loves a
though.
little more.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yep.
And it, when you were talking about aura and stuff, has anyone said that your aura is like a purple?
Yes, I have a lot of purples and golds in my aura.
Okay, that's what I was getting from you.
Yes, yes, for sure. Yeah, in fact, for a while I used to do with somebody else that had the equipment. I used to do uh, what do you call aura photos
Oh,
when we used the symbols,
yeah.
so we could see how it was changing the aura as someone was just holding it. It's really cool. And at some point, I'm hoping to be able to get the equipment and start demoing like that, because I think it would really get people to see what is happening within their own energy field with something as simple as that.
That's really awesome. I didn't even know that was a thing. And I would like if you continue and you do get the equipment, if you can keep me in the loop.
Oh,
And
I'd be happy to. The other thing that we learned was I did some live cell blood tests, which are basically they take the blood cell, a blood draw, just from the tip of your finger. They put it on a slide and then they analyze what's going on in your blood. And I started playing with an image while they were analyzing it on the screen, and I was looking at it. I changed the entire blood right there while it was on the slide. It
what?
was totally mind-boggling. Even the person reading the blood, she's like, "What just happened?"
Wow.
Yeah. But it really shows you how powerful we are and how some little things can actually shift and change us and change our bodies. And I teach a lot about visualization too. So as an example, I had a knee injury and they told me I was never going to walk down a staircase again without holding a handrail, because my kneecap would slide down off my leg, down my leg. And I said, "You don't tell me never." So in that case, it was before my symbols. I started visualizing a ball of golden light, and I just intended that that ball of golden light was healing my knee with every step I took. And anytime I noticed my knee hurting, I would just say, "Ball of golden light, do your work." That knee is stronger than the other knee. I don't hold handrails going up and down or anything. Kneecap hasn't slid out in over 20 years.
Wow.
So it teaches people how powerful our minds are and how much we have way more control over our lives than we understand.
So say someone who wants to like learn more or anything, how can they get in touch with you, or like how can they start treading down this path?
Well, the best way to get a hold of me is to get one of my free gifts. So I have a free gift called the Boundless Energy free gift, which has some of the symbols, and one of which is, if you're ever in a boring meeting, it's the greatest thing. You can hold it in your hand during the boring meeting, and it keeps you awake. Okay, so they can get that at energytuneup.com, just the simple energytuneup.com, and they can go get that for free. And my website otherwise is empoweredspirit.com. But if people want to just get started, just visualizing, just something in your life, like I said with my knee, that was long before these symbols. And I just said, you know what, this isn't going to be an issue. And I started visualizing my knee getting stronger, and it worked. So the power of visualization itself is humongous. It really is. And I've helped a lot of people with just doing that. I had a nail fungus one time. My nail was cracked all the way down the center, and I did this. I sat like that, and all I did was rub it and intend that it was healing just above the cuticle, or yeah, just above the cuticle there. And the nail tech said, "You're never going to heal that nail. That never happens. That nail is back to the same as all the rest of my nails." And that convinced her to the point that she started using the visualization I did on my knee so that she wouldn't have to have knee replacement surgery. And 3 years later, they were already scheduling a knee replacement surgery. And 3 years later, which is the last time I spoke to her, she still didn't need the knee replacement surgery.
Wow.
And that had nothing to do with my symbols. It's simply just the mindset and visualization.
So mindset and visualization. So
Hmm.
would you say like the same would go for these physical ailments as spiritual ailments? Like any of these like spiritual diseases that anyone may face, like within the heart or within oneself, would this visualization work just as it would for a physical?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't see a real difference between physical and spiritual anyway. We're all energy, and I think tend to forget that.
I,
But
I just
that it
make
really is.
you know what
What was that?
I just try to like iterate it or like make that said just for anyone who doesn't understand that to have that embedded in them that
Right.
it's all in one.
We're all one, right? And that's the thing. People don't realize that. And part of the problem with the medical community in the US and a lot of the third world or first world countries is we tend to think of everything as the physical body without taking into body, mind, and spirit. And that's what's really key. We are all three, and we need to keep in mind to look at all the aspects, not just one.
That we're spiritual beings in a physical.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Spiritual beings in a physical body.
yeah.
Or some people like to call them the meat suit.
Okay, I like that. So, with your books and with more and more, just I guess work or like time has progressed with the drawings and stuff. Did you what has have you noticed like things that work better than others or like drawing in a certain way or does that have like a or like colors that does that like come into play?
Yeah, so colors definitely come into play. The first time when remember I told you the medical intuitive told me to draw those images floating in my aura. The first day I drew 60 some images, and I would ask spirit, like, are they colored? And they'd say yes. I'm like, what color? Oh, we'll tell you that later. What's the meaning of this symbol? Oh, we'll tell you that later. So here I am with 65 little sketches and no idea what to do with any of them. And then as days went on, took me to one and said, this is going to be called Love and Trust. It's about trusting the process. And they told me what colors and what that one meant. And that's kind of how it worked. Now today I can ask for a symbol for a specific thing, and I'm showing the colors and all of that. Now you'll notice in this picture behind me, those little things that look like E's in the corners, and you see the big circle. Now that originally was not part of the whole process, but as I was guided, I was told to put the circle around, and that golden circle helps protect the energy of the person using the symbol. So it gives them a layer of protection. And then the E's, there's actually four of them. There's two purple ones in the bottom corners. Those lock the energy of the image that's in the center into the body.
Wow. As you were saying everything, it was being done in front of me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so I now have over 500 of the symbols. I've stopped counting, so I'm not sure. We could be over 600 by now.
Okay, so that's, do you have it like on a Instagram or like anything on the web that anyone can go through? Is it on your
I
web?
have I have some free ones, and of course I have my website where people can order the kits and order individual symbols. I actually also draw personal power symbols for people where if they want one drawn specifically to their energy that'll help them, let's say they're focused on, I don't know, whatever it is, prosperity, whatever, or a particular goal that's more like they think is their life goal. I try to get it to, then I will tune into that and draw a specific one of a kind, one off symbol for them.
So
Uh,
I could ask you to do that for me if
yeah.
yeah, well, after the coverage we get into that, I guess, but I definitely want to.
Okay. Yeah, I do that. And like I said, I do the kits with the different healing symbols that are in the kits as well. I also have a training program called this. I'm going to relaunch it. It was called The Art of Healing. I'm relaunching it as a try before you buy program, so people can actually try it for 20, try each class for 24 hours, and then if they want to buy the whole course, they can. Um, and I have a prosperity program that I'm going to convert to that same format as well, and a weight loss program.
Oh, that's
So
great. Uh,
yeah, so I have the programs out there already, but I'm converting them all to try before you buy, so people can, experience the stuff before they actually spend their money.
that's great that you do that. And I'm gonna like make sure that on all my platforms on social media and everything have this out so everyone can see you and benefit and gain on your expertise.
Cool. Thank you.
So as we wind up, my next question was, what is your outlook on just everything as what's going on now, and how do you keep with your soul's life mission and not getting hurt or like saddened by everything that's around you?
Yeah, I think that the keys are, like I started to say before, meditation is really key. That's one of the things. Don't watch the news. I rarely watch the news. It's not like I don't know what's going on, but I don't want to get caught up in it because it's so negative and it can pull us down and pull our vibration down. And the other one is getting out in nature because we weren't meant to be inside all the time. We weren't meant to be um, in a house. I mean, think about it, the cavemen and all of that. Um, but today we spend so much time indoors, we don't connect with nature. And I think that's a really key part of it. And even with COVID and all the warnings and everything, it doesn't mean you can't go out in nature. You're just careful about not getting too close to people. Like I said, I walk on the beach every day. And the other thing is letting go of our mobile devices and just disconnect for a little bit, folks.
Enjoy the
it
moment.
can it really makes a huge difference, and it's so easy to get caught up in all the technology and all of that. I mean, like I said, I was a tech geek, so I get it, but you have to take time to really be with nature and with yourself and let go of some of those things so that you're more focused and aware of what's going on around you. I'm going to give an example. I have a friend that's really in touch with nature, and I walked on this beach for 6 months, and I'd see these little tiny, tiny shells on the beach, and then I would see them sink into the sand. So he's walking with me one day, and I'm talking about the shells, and he's like, they're not sinking in the sand. Those shells are little tiny clams. And what they did was they literally turned themselves on end and spun themselves down into the sand. And I didn't even notice that. There are so many things that are so cool in nature that can really give us something else to focus on instead of all the negativity. So those are my tips.
Those are great tips. So just one more time, if you can, all your social, like your website, as well as any other avenue on the social media, the social like to connect with you?
Well, they can connect with me on social media on Facebook just by looking up Cristalia. And I know I have a very odd spelling of my name, but you can see it. I believe it's on the video there.
Yeah,
So,
and then I'll have it up. It's
yeah,
right there under you.
right. So you'll find me there. I do have a YouTube channel, but not much is on there yet. But there are a couple meditations with the symbols in them on YouTube. And then, of course, the free gift in energytuneup.com.
So just
They can get.
can you iterate that one more time? The free gift and what that was.
Yeah, the free gift is called Boundless Energy in less than a minute. And it uses some of the symbols. There's an audio program that comes with it, gives you some of the symbols to try, gives you a chance to experience the energy of them. And that website is energytuneup.com, energytuneup.com. So really simple. And my direct website is empoweredspirit.com, which is empoweredspirit.com. And a lot of people ask me, well, what makes you think you're empowered spirit? And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I want to empower you. It's not about me being an empowered spirit. I am, but not, I'm not your guru, in other words, okay? I want to empower people to really learn how to tap into their own inner healer and use, maybe they use my work or someone else's work, but everybody, we all have our own inner healer, and it's time we learn to tap into it.
So just say someone who's just going through YouTube and then they just like go towards this and they're getting towards the end of our video and didn't watch like the beginning or middle. What is that image behind you and how would you describe it?
Okay, so I'm actually going to move so you can see it a little bit. Let's see here. That is called the chakra opening and balancing symbol. And it's not, I mean, it's much more vibrant colors than that. But that is used to balance the body's energy centers and clear any blockages that are in there. So let me just give an example. When we block an energy center, we start getting problems maybe in success in our lives or in our relationships. But eventually, if we keep that energy blocked, we will end up with health challenges. So if a person has a lower back problem, as an example, I can almost guarantee you have either your root chakra or your sacral chakra that's shut down. And if you get that reopened, a lot of times that's all it takes. I had one person, literally, I gave him the symbol and I said, just focus on getting because he couldn't sit for more than a couple hours. He couldn't work for more than 3 or 4 hours a day. And he just started holding that symbol and keeping his root chakra open. And pretty soon he's like working 8-hour days and he's going into the evening and having fun. He's like, that's all it took? Yeah. So then the next thing, though, is deal with what's the underlying emotion, which we talked about earlier, which is in the case of root chakra, support. In the case of sacral, it's about fear of losing all your money, guys. So, those two are really about money and support and so on. But we have different energy centers going up the body, all relate to different health challenges.
Okay. See, now that gives more in depth and more that answered everyone's questions, I'm sure, who was just looking and they're like, what is this? So
Right.
um, I will also be in contact because I want to get my own personal
Okay.
energy drawn out and see what that's like. And
Okay.
then I'll get back to my viewers too and just tell them how it's benefited me and how drastic improvements I've noticed and gained from it.
Okay. That sounds great.
Thank you so much again for your time. And then if I myself have any questions, do I have your permission to ask you and message you?
Oh, you absolutely do. This has been a joy. And yes, of course, just reach out anytime, any
Okay.
questions you have.
Yes, thank you, and I appreciate your patience and as well as your we all have our own age, but I could see spiritually, I would say that you have um, been here for a long time, and that I feel like we're able to communicate and understand each other without having to say anything.
Right. Oh, I agree. I agree totally.
So thank you
Yeah.
again, Cristalia. And
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm gonna myself get this free gift and be the first one out of many more to come. And
Okay.
I'm gonna document and record everything, and then I'm gonna promote you to everyone I know.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, and stay blessed, and I'll be in touch.
Okay.